So what we're going to do on this video is focus in on development priorities. So George Beck has created a hypothesis of excellence for his sales team called a profile of excellence, gone ahead and completed team feedback against that profile, and his individual sellers have completed their own self-feedback, and he's reviewed the results. And with each member of his team, he's kind of synced up on those results. He's made sure that any misalignments in the way that his team perceives the work that they're doing, the level of the work they're doing against the profile of excellence, any misalignments around their view versus his view, those misalignments are dealt with and they reach alignment. And then the next step, once they're aligned, is that they can then start to have discussions about development priorities, because development priorities result from feedback. And what we're going to do on this video is jump in to take a look at development priorities and how sellers and managers can use development priorities to really get focused on those key next skills that sellers need to develop in order to grow. So in this case, we're going to jump into the development priorities for Violet Smith, one of the sellers that works for George. And we're going to take a look at the development priorities that were generated as a result of feedback, her own self-feedback and George's manager feedback. And in this case, you can see there were two development priorities. One of those development priorities is around Violet developing her mentality and her skills associated with being a sales challenger. And we're going to take a look at this development priority. In this case, it's number 2. Now, what we're seeing here is that this development priority for Violet, in terms of importance, is critical for her. It's one of her top most critical development priorities, areas for growth. In terms of frequency, she's only adopting those behaviors associated with being a sales challenger sometimes. And from a capability point of view, she's not ready. She's not ready. And this comes from the feedback that she was given by George Beck. Now, associated with this development priority are learning resources and experts that George Beck can then connect Violet with when they're doing one-on-one coaching sessions. So what George might do is say, hey, look, here's this critical area of growth for you, this development priority for you. Here are some resources that you can use to help you with this development priority. And what the Pipe9 app does, it actually lists out those resources that George can connect Violet with that can help her. These development resources might include presentations, white papers, they might include toolkits, they might include training programs and readiness that the Pipe9 app has aggregated together and aligned to each one of the development areas of development for Violet. And the app does all of this work in the background so that these learning resources are available for George to connect Violet with when they're both reviewing this development priority as part of a one-on-one coaching session. What George can also do here is he can connect Violet with experts, people who are expert in the skills that Violet is looking to develop in order for her to grow. And so not only can George Beck connect Violet with learning resources, but he can also connect Violet with appropriate experts that she can work with, who can mentor her to help her build out the skills that she needs to develop. Now, what she can also do to manage this development priority, what Violet can do to manage this development priority, is that she has a development toolbox that sits on the top here of the screen. And some of the things that Violet can do using her development toolbox would be to include things like, for example, she can create tasks associated with each one of these development priorities. So she can create tasks. She can look to gain help from people associated with these tasks. She can agree upon what success looks like for each one of these tasks, start dates, end dates, and files associated with the work that she's doing around these tasks can be uploaded and attached to the development priority. What George could also do to help Violet is George could actually upload resources. George might already be aware of resources that might be available to help Violet with this development priority. So surveys, for example, or other presentations that other members of his team have done. Those types of resources can be uploaded into the application and they can be attached to development priorities, such that when George is having one-on-one sessions with each member of his team, these learning resources then appear attached to the development priorities as you see them here. And then over time, what happens as Violet starts to make progress against these development priorities is that the progress that she's making then is updated as she's completing tasks, for example, as George goes back and he updates frequency and he updates capability based upon the progress that Violet is making. Progress is then moving forward. And once that progress bar moves to 100%, all the tasks have been completed, frequency has moved to always, capability has moved to very ready, then what happens is that development priority moves to a status that we call purple. And the idea is that all the development priorities that surface for each member of George's sales team over time will move to a status that's we refer to in the app as purple. And we track the progress that each member of George's team is making towards their development priorities becoming purple over time. And we compare the progress that are being made against those development priorities with performance increases in things like attaining quota, for example, or attaining customer, maybe partner satisfaction types of metrics. So now for the first time, we can actually align development progress with performance progress and bring those two things together. And we do that in reports that are available to George Beck from within the Pipe9 application. And we'll show you some of those reports in a future video. Thanks for watching.